our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates.
FIS MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 11th day of May 2020. I hope and I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend, and in particular, all of you mothers out there, I hope and I trust that you had a happy Mother's Day, enjoyable Mother's Day, bearing in mind the safety protocols that have been put in place in terms of physical distancing and all of those other things as well. But I'm also thinking it might not be a bad idea when this is all over to have a second Mother's Day as well for all of our queens out there, all of our queens, our mothers out there. If the, and they can have a Mother's Day every day. But if the Queen of England can have two birthdays, an official one and another one, why can't our queens have two Mother's Days as well? Two Mother's Day, right? So celebrated one on the 10th, and when that opportunity comes around again, and it will at some point in time, when we can all get together as families, as groups, to celebrate another Mother's Day for our queens out there as well. Just a thought as well. For those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, and remember the life you save may be your own. If you're a pedestrian, if you're a cyclist, if you're operating any type of vehicle, motorized vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today or celebrated one over the weekend, we want to wish you either belated happy birthday or a happy birthday today if you're celebrating. And we urge you, whatever you do it in moderation, bearing in mind all of the safety protocols that have been put in place to ensure that everyone stays safe during this COVID-19 period, and in trying to ensure that you do not transmit the virus to any other person as well. If you have lost loved ones over the past few days, past few weeks, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you, and we hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times. In particular, I'd like to extend my personal condolences to the family of Mr. Charles Bush, also known as Boise, good friend of mine, very, very good friend. We kept in contact whenever we saw each other. We would always talk, and my days at immigration, I interacted quite a bit with him as well. So to the family of the late Charles Bush, I want to extend my sincere condolences to you as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and the management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that time, our phone lines are open. Always that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. You can leave us a text message, send us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. We have no guests in the studio this morning, so we're going to have an open line for you all day. Well, I shouldn't say all day, between the hours of 7:30 and 10 a.m. And we welcome your calls. We want to hear from you. We'd like to hear about how you're coping with the COVID-19 situation. If you are in a process or if you have applied to recoup a portion of your pension, let us know what's happening with that. If you're a worker here in the islands, or if you're any person who needs to send financial assistance off to family members or friends overseas, let us know how you're managing with that, what difficulties you may be encountering, or if things are going smoothly. We want to hear the good news as well. Those of you who have challenges with young children, and if you're required to return to work, those of you who are not required to return to work but are working from home as well, we want to hear your various stories out there. This will give you an opportunity to do that. I know last week we didn't get so much of an opportunity to do so. Friday was a little bit better, even though we had Dr. Steve Macfield and Mr. Visa Pitcairn on the phone lines. Good conversation with them, joined by Mr. Roy Bodden at one point in time as well. But today you will have an opportunity to call in and to share your experiences with us, whether they're good, whether they're bad. Tell us what you feel needs to be done that isn't being done either by the government or the private sector during this COVID-19 pandemic as well. I want to share with you a press release that was issued by the Ministry of Health and the Public Health Department on Saturday. And this is a statement by the Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez. But before I do that, I believe you have a phone call. We have a caller. So let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. AC. May the peace of the cosmic be with you.
Good morning, and the same to you, sir.
Yeah, this is Clive Christian again, but though I'm not going to talk about medicine for corona this morning.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about the churches.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, we live in a democratic country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say Cayman is a Christian country, right?
Right.
So You know, most of the time I call in many times, I'm merely quoting a lot of God's word from not just the Bible, the New Testament, the words of Jesus himself, or Edgar Cayce. You ever read his book, The Sleeping Prophet?
No, I've never.
Well, I would encourage you to read it. Read his life story. Because he did not really say anything. He was sleeping and God spoke through him. All right? So it is not like in the Old Testament and all that, they say God told me this and God told me that. He was sleeping. He did not even know what he was saying, but people wrote down things. And many occasions, they just gave him the name of a person who was hundreds of miles away, who we never even met. And the Spirit of God would go over, diagnose the problems, and tell how to cure him. Quite recently, he died in 1945. And there's a lot of these newspapers and all that trying to say he's a fraud. He cured thousands of people that the best doctors could not cure. He prophesied a lot of things, all of the Dead Sea Scrolls that he didn't find until 2 years after he died. And many other prophecies is God warned him not to form any church or anything. And all his readings, over 14,000 readings, they call it when he went to sleep. They have them in all many different categories. And people from all religions, Muslims, Hindus, Sikh, everything, they all go to the Association for Research and Enlightenment in Virginia Beach to study his readings. Right?
Okay, so I need you to get to the point that you're trying to get across to us.
Yeah, no, just so I get across, I need to explain that this is what he said was the Word of God, right? So when I spoke about things like the peanut oil for arthritis or eating almonds for cancer, they all came from God himself, right? And that's some of the objections I had to things I said. But the one that really caused me a great concern the other day was when I talked about forgiveness. And I did not expect the negative feedback on about asking people to forgive. You know? This is one of the main teachings of the Bible, that we are Christian people. Right?
And there are people who object to you proposing that we should be forgiving?
Yeah, well, I suggested two things. One, then, that all these people that are locked up for marijuana, ganja, whatever you call it, right? Ganja, the majority of people in Ireland know, is not a serious crime. It is against the law, right? But it's not as bad as alcohol and many other things that are legal, right? And the Spirit came to me and to tell the churches them that if you are locked down, you know what it feels like to be locked down just in the nighttime and Sundays. But you're locking down so many people for using something that was medicine, something that stayed in the Bible several times.
Well, until it's decriminalized, the use of it, or modified in some way, until that decriminalization process takes place, that's what's on the books. That's what's on the books. So you have to push for the legislation to be changed in order for that to happen.
No, see, I'm not saying that. Right? I'm not saying that. It's not.
Well, what I'm saying is that we can get on the radio and we can talk about how many people are incarcerated because of either the use or the illegal sale of it. But until we make it legal, that is the law, and there are punishments on the books for that. So the impetus has to be towards changing the legislation.
Lord, this is not what I'm saying. Maybe
that's what I'm saying.
What I am saying is that although they're in there now, they don't need to be any changes in the law to forgive and free them. You don't have to change the law to give them their freedom.
I don't believe that, that there's any legislation that talks about forgiveness. The law that is out there says this is a crime. This is a crime if you commit it, and if you are found guilty, then here are the sentences for it. I don't recall any law that says 2 weeks of forgiveness or 2 months of forgiveness or 2 years of forgiveness. What they do have is that you can be pardoned at some point in time, or your sentence can be commuted. But there's no law that talks about forgiveness. That's a moral, that's a part of our morality that we as individuals do.
Saying, this is what I'm bringing across. That if the churches petition the government for forgiveness, right, they can do it. You don't have to make it legal. And the other one that really surprised me was when I said they should forgive the Honorable McKeever Bush. Right? Now, this is not something that the government do. This is some individuals. This young man, from the time he entered politics, he has been voted in every election.
Okay, very quickly, I'm past my commercial break. Going past my commercial break. So,
okay, make it blunt. At that time, when he's going through a lot of mental stress, remember his daughter. And you just, this is not drunken soup, but this is a mental strain, right? And if they cannot forgive him, how can you forgive? And these are the churches I'm dealing with, all right? And every day they're praying, Lord, forgive us the same way that we forgive others.
Okay, got to go for a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Edward Raib Arch, MBE, 1915-1980.
Pastor Raib was the son of James Heber Arch and his wife, Virginia Nee Thompson. He contributed greatly to the spiritual and educational development of the community of Georgetown through many years of devotion to the work of the Church of God and Truth for Youth School. He was a boat builder. As a young boy, he worked on the gold field, and he designed and built the Neria, and a building contractor. He served for 9 years as deputy chairman of the Immigration Board. He and his wife, Laurel Valloni Nee Bodden, had 7 children.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
With no vaccine, with no cure, our current solution is keeping our distance and staying at home. We stay at home to keep safe, to reduce harm to others. We stay apart while out and about, space between life and death. We keep our distance 6 feet apart because 6 feet apart is better than 6 feet below. We stay at home because it takes upwards of 40 nurses, doctors, laboratory technicians, housekeepers to care for one COVID-19 patient. Diagnosis, intubation, extubation to full recovery. 40 healthcare professionals and their families at risk while taking care of one COVID-19 patient. Breathe easy. Keep your distance. Stay home. Don't risk you. Don't risk others. This is Rotary Central saying, live to breathe, breathe to live, because breathing is everything.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether it's celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so we have an open line for you. We have about 8 minutes before we go to the 8 o'clock news. I still want to share the release issued by the Ministry of Health and the Public Health Department. But before I do that, one of our listeners has reminded us in relation to the first caller's comments about forgiveness and said, check out Numbers, the book of Numbers, chapter 14, verse 18. And it reads, "The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty." So, caller, you may want to refer to that particular chapter in the Bible as well. Numbers 14, chapter 14, verse 18. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty. Okay, let's go to Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez's statement. It reads, the Cayman Islands government decided to undertake testing of public and private sector frontline staff as the best possible means of determining the spread of COVID-19 in our community and containing the disease wherever it is found through rapid isolation measures, risk assessment, and contact tracing. As an added precaution, public health is working with businesses that return positive test results to test any other employees where the results of the investigation suggest a need. Precisely because of the prevention and control measures that the whole country has worked with us to implement, our overall numbers of confirmed cases have remained very low even after we begin frontline testing of apparently healthy personnel. As an example, local supermarkets have been visibly practicing social distancing and prevention measures, such as encouraging staff to wear personal protective equipment, PPE, for some weeks. I would like to reassure, and this is Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, I would like to reassure the public that the virus is spread mainly by droplets. As such, our general advice to the public when in a public place continues to be practice social distancing, cough etiquette, and wear a mask in enclosed public spaces. Avoid touching your face until you have returned home, and wash your hands thoroughly. With regards to another common concern, it should be noted that as long as they are practicing the prevention measures just outlined, persons won't get the coronavirus simply by touching food. Indeed, it is important that as a country, we continue to practice these prevention measures until the Cayman Islands has eliminated COVID-19. Also, shelter-in-place orders are still in place on Grand Cayman. This means we should stay home unless it is essential. And this advice at the end, if persons are concerned that they may be in contact with a person who has COVID-19 or they have symptoms, they should call the flu hotline at telephone number, and please record this, 1-800-534-8600. You can also call 345-947-3077, or you can email flu@hsa.ky. I will repeat those again for you. If persons are concerned that they may have been in contact with a person who has COVID-19 or they have symptoms, they should call the flu hotline. So if you feel that you've been in contact with someone, if you feel that you have the symptoms of COVID-19, please call 1-800-534-8600. You can also call 345-947-3077, and you can also email flu@hsa.ky. So those of you out there who are listening, please follow the instructions. If you have family members or friends who may not be aware of these instructions, please pass it on to them. If you're feeling ill, if you feel that you have the symptoms, don't hide it. Don't hide it from family. Don't hide it from friends. Take the necessary actions. Call the flu hotline, 1-800-534-8600, or call 345-947-3077. It is by keeping quiet, by trying to conceal any symptoms that you may have, you're putting yourself at risk, and you're putting others with whom you may come in contact or be in close proximity to, you're putting them at risk as well. We all have to do our part, so please, we're really, really asking you to follow the instructions, do your part, save yourself, save your friends, save your family, save those around you from COVID-19 as well. Do the right thing. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, we will continue to have open line. I will try to contact some people and have them on the phone line to talk with me as well about certain things. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
Now, when you shop with us at any Foster's supermarket or Priced Right location, you'll be required to wear a mask or face covering to help keep you and our team safe.
Face coverings can include reusable masks, disposable masks, homemade masks, bandanas, or scarves.
Your face covering should cover your nose, mouth, and chin to be most effective.
For more on this and our response to COVID-19, visit fosters.ky or follow Foster's Cayman on Facebook and Instagram.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The head of the Traffic and Roads Policing Unit says folks are hitting excessive speeds as cars begin to reflood the roads, with local businesses reopening. On Friday morning alone, 15 tickets were issued by officers for speeding. And if you're busted, you're looking at $20 for every mile over the limit that you're recorded going when stopped by an officer. And if you're caught hitting a speed where the fine exceeds $500, you'll have a mandatory court appearance where police say it's likely you'll lose your license for at least 6 months. The credit union announces the extension of loan payment deferrals from May through July. According to a press release, along with the automatic loan payment deferral for April, the credit union has extended the automatic payment deferrals an additional 3 months from May to July, a total of 4 months of automatic deferrals for all members in good standing. Tomorrow is National Nurses Day in the Cayman Islands. While nurses and healthcare professionals have been battling COVID-19 across the world, here in the Cayman Islands, the nurses too have been mentally preparing themselves every day for work, knowing the risk of the potential exposure to coronavirus. Minister for Health, the Honorable Dwayne Seymour.
We have seen countless individuals give up their time away from families and remain a source of hope as they care for patients during this pandemic in a way that has been unlike any other time in our history. COVID-19 pandemic, which is demanding great sacrifices of frontline healthcare workers globally, has presented itself during what the World Health Organization had previously deemed as the International Year of the Nurse and the Midwife, to honor the 200th year of Florence Nightingale's birth.
Florence Nightingale was the founder of modern nursing. Her birth date of May 12th marks the first day of celebration of Nurses Week each year in the Cayman Islands. In other news,
every year, the Central Caribbean Marine Institute celebrates World Oceans Day, and this year will be no different. As citizens around the world face unprecedented challenges, we feel now is the time to come together and focus on the health of our oceans, our planet, and our global connections to one.
That's right. CCMI is hosting World Oceans Day virtually this year. In a promotional video, the organization says on June 6th, the Little Cayman-based Research Center will bring you news of hope, resiliency, and a clear pathway for the country's coral reefs. Make sure to check out the CCMI Facebook page for all the details. The Trinidad-based Caribbean Public Health Agency is urging people in the region to remember that despite the coronavirus pandemic, they need to be mindful of other potential public health threats. CARVA Executive Director Dr. Joy St. John, in a message in observance of Caribbean Mosquito Awareness Week, noted that the mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue, chikungunya, and Zika have placed an additional burden on the region's healthcare systems and negatively impact social and economic development. Caribbean community leaders at their summit in 2014 declared Mosquito Awareness Week as an important reminder to the general public to take action to reduce their risk of diseases spread by mosquitoes. Once the rainy season starts, it's expected that greater rainfall will lead to a proliferation of mosquito breeding sites, build vector populations, and increase the risk of transmission of diseases such as dengue. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Debbie Russ. Coronavirus restrictions continue to be eased in large parts of Europe as countries take gradual steps to return to some kind of normality. In France, some shops and most primary schools are reopening, but large numbers of people are still staying at home, avoiding public transport. Restaurants, theatres and cinemas remain closed. In Spain, half the population are now able to travel within their provinces and meet in groups of up to 10, but not in the big cities. The British government is facing criticism for a partial easing of lockdown measures announced by the Prime Minister. The leader of the opposition Labour Party, Keir Starmer, said there was a lack of clarity after Boris Johnson encouraged some categories to return to work but avoid using public transport. Scotland and Wales said it was too early to drop the main message to stay at home. A top health official in Iran has warned that tighter measures may need to be reimposed if procedures to prevent the spread of coronavirus are not followed. The Deputy Health Minister is concerned about a spike in infections in the southwestern province of Khuzestan, where restrictions have already been reintroduced. The authorities in Nigeria have demolished 2 hotels for violating lockdown rules imposed to control the pandemic. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
We are open. Visit Puritan Cleaners drive-through off Eastern Avenue, 8 a.m. till 3 p.m., Monday to Saturday. Our Elgin Avenue and Savannah locations will remain closed. However, your items can easily be transferred to Eastern Avenue. Just call us at 949-7104. That's 949-7104 with your request. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Would you like to cancel a work permit that was submitted before or during COVID-19? Are your PR fees due soon and unsure what to do? Want to know the status of a submitted work permit? Email workadministration@gov.ky today. That's WORCadministration@gov.ky or visit www.workworc.ky today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking, change your life. Emotions are an ever-present, pressing, and sometimes painful force in our lives. When things happen in our life that are out of our control, we can feel helpless, hopeless, and overwhelmed. If you're able to do something to change the situation, then go for it. If there's nothing more that you can do to change it, then try to change your reaction to it. Look for information that you may have missed while you were emotional. Try to understand the other person's point of view. Or, if all else fails, accept that this situation is the current reality, even if it's not what it should be or what we hoped for. It is temporary, and do what you need to do to get through the painful moments. Breathe, pray, listen to music, or seek out support.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong Series was brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
A pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Synopsis indicate isolated showers expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as the surface low-pressure system lingers over the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show scattered showers in and around the Cayman area. Now, the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of morning showers, and temperatures will be in the upper 80s. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, Seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for pretty much the same, partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures falling to the low 70s tonight. Your winds will be northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. We're presently at a low tide, and the next high tide will be this afternoon at 12:37, and a low tide again tonight at 4 minutes past 7. The sun will set this evening at 5:52 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:51. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. On Course Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. On Course Cayman. Health, wellness, and happiness.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Traffic coming from the east, steady bit flowing on Shamrock Road. Then for Pearson Highway, steady bit flowing as well. On Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, moving along lightly, and a moderate flow of traffic coming from the West Bay four-way stop. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive, and traffic moving pretty good on Shedden Road as we look to North Sound Road. Moderate flow of traffic, some sections, other sections light traffic. And on Cool Road, traffic is moderate and also coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll give you another traffic outlook. Have a good morning. Buckle up.
Subway is helping to keep Cayman safe by limiting store openings and hours, offering curbside pickup and delivery right to your door. With 3 locations currently open to serve you: Anderson Square in Georgetown, Centennial Towers in West Bay, and Countryside Shopping Village in Savannah. Subway is open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on soft curfew days. Free delivery for orders with a minimum $20 purchase. Delivery times only from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. Subway, helping you to enjoy your favorite foods in the safest way possible.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Obey the laws and wear the gauze. Protect your jaws from septic paws. Stay clean, Cayman, with hand sanitizer from $3.25, 10 surgical masks for $9.99, and 2 packs of KN95 masks for $6.99. Wholesale pricing available at all 5 Liquor for Less locations: Shedden Road, North Church Street, Savannah, Northside, and the McClendon Drive Airport location. Don't miss the incredible lockdown price markdown and manager specials exclusively at Liquor for Less. Hundreds of fine, starting from cases of ice cold below wholesale prices, and save $9 off liters. Prices so low we can't say it on the radio. Liquor for Less enforces the wearing of masks and social distancing while in store, and encourage other preventative measures to help stop the spread of COVID-19, such as consistent hand washing and only leaving home for essential purposes.
It's time to stay steady in the summer and be ready for the fall. Summer 2020 classes begin on May 11th, and there has never been a more opportune time for you to invest in your future with online classes at UCCI. Do your part to keep our island safe and stay home Cayman while furthering your educational goals. Continue or start your success story today by visiting ucci.edu.ky/myucci to find out more about the enrollment process. Call 623-8224 or email info@ucci.edu.ky to learn more.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so we have an open line for you to call in if you have any questions, any observations. We really want to focus more on the COVID-19 situation here in the Cayman Islands and elsewhere. We'd like to know how you are coping during this period of time. If you're a worker, what conditions are you working under? If you're working at home, or if you're having to go in to your place of work, if you're at your place of work, whether or not they're practicing social or physical distancing as well, whether or not you're required to wear masks while you're at work. Curious to know, because all of these protocols that have been put in place, if they're followed religiously, then the chances of the COVID-19 virus spreading are reduced immensely if we follow the guidance and the protocols that have been laid out. Let's go to the press briefing on Friday, the 8th of May, 2020, and I will share with you the highlights of some of that press briefing. Out of 297 test results on Friday, 296 were negative and one was positive, who had no symptoms, no travel history, or contact with COVID-19 patients, or a positive person, so that one positive. Also, the Cayman Islands ethos in the fight against COVID-19 continues to be that saving lives, especially those of the elderly, is more important than any other consideration. We'll talk about that a little bit, because we got the impression from the Premier that he is still under enormous pressure by some quarters to place more emphasis on getting the economy back up and going, whether it be in the construction field, whether it may be in other areas as well. And the Premier has said repeatedly that life is more important, is the most important thing that he has to consider now, saving lives. And he will do whatever it takes for that to happen as well. And we want to say to the Premier, stay the course. You have a considerable amount of support behind you for what you are doing now. And yes, while there has to be a balance between people's ability to earn a living, to be able to support themselves, and also to ensure that we preserve human life in the Cayman Islands, that balance has to be tilted towards saving human life, preserving human life as well. Other points at the press briefing: 2 field hospitals are set up to ensure adequate medical coverage for COVID-19 and other medical needs should this become necessary as well. And at that press briefing, they also observed 1 minute of silence for the late MLA, Mrs. Leola Esterline Ebanks as well. Now, what we will do, we will go in to more details. I did read for you the statement put out by the Ministry of Health and the Public Health Department. I will share with you now what Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez reported on Friday as well. And as said earlier, out of the 297 results received, 296 tested negative and 1 positive. That positive was a community transmission case, and the person was asymptomatic. Investigations of how the patient was infected had begun by the public health, including the procedures of contact tracing. He also pointed out that the current trend of predominantly negatives is very encouraging, and more screening is continuing as well. On previous, and this is my interjection here. On previous press briefing, we heard about some of the difficulties in terms of screening, persons not showing up for their appointments and everything. And again, we want to continue to encourage you to do your part. If you've been selected for screening, keep your appointment. You need to know whether or not you're asymptomatic or whether or not you may be suffering from COVID-19 as well. This is something that you can't hide. You cannot hide. We know that some families, whenever there's illness in their families, if it may be cancer or something else, people like to keep their information personal, and they will say, "Oh, this family member is sick. They're having treatment," but may not necessarily say what it is all about. In this case, it is you cannot keep the fact that you're suffering or that you're having symptoms of the COVID-19. You can't keep that away from the medical authorities, because they're the ones who are there to help you, to treat you as well. I think we have a couple of callers. So one more point that Dr. Williams Rodriguez pointed out at the HSA flu clinic, there were 8 patients on Thursday with flu hotline received, while the flu hotline received 14 calls. He also pointed out that 90 individuals are currently in government-run mandatory isolation facilities, in addition to 104 individuals in public health mandated isolation in the community as well. He also pointed out that regular screening that is done for school entry each year has been postponed. So this is important for you out there to know as well. Regular screening that is done for school entry each year has been due to the current situation, due to public health nurses being deployed to deal with the COVID-19 situation. He also pointed out that public health has continued its 6 weeks postnatal and vaccination clinics, working together with the pediatric unit at the 8 Health Services Authority, public health staff, and some private clinics. From today, Monday the 11th of May, persons seeking service should contact 244-2562 to speak to a public health nurse and get updates, leaving a message if they do not get an answer. So the postnatal and vaccination clinics, you have to make contact 244-2562 as well. And also pointed out that non-emergency patients can currently contact the Health Services Authority General Practice Clinic for their needs by telemedicine, prescriptions, or investigation. Private clinics are also providing telemedicine services as well. We're going to pause there for a second. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Lucy.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Not as good as you, but I'm good. And I thank God for good health and all the wonderful things that He provides for us each day.
Excellent.
Yeah, we were talking about this thing now that getting back, and I agree with the Premier that don't let nobody rush him to get this thing back, because we don't need to get into a position where this thing comes back on us and probably double up on us if we don't be careful. The thing is that bothers me about this whole thing, especially the construction trade and businesses like that, over the last I'd say, last 3-4 years. We have started a thing here in Cayman with everybody was building and building. And, you heard me say that to you on the radio, that they're going to be left here standing and they're going to be able to sell nothing. And I think there comes a time within government where they have to stop and say, look, we're growing too fast. We have to slow down. No more permits for building speculative buildings so somebody can think they're going to make some money off of. This is what happened. Half of these buildings were speculative, and so now they got stuck with them, and a lot of these people owe the banks for the money they borrowed to build these things, looking forward to all the sales they were going to make. And the real estate people were encouraging people to go ahead and, it went on. And you see, God is wonderful. He knows sometimes he just stops you right there and said, look, you don't pay me no attention. Everything is about making money. And until we get to the point where we came, growth is not a bad thing. But when it's unsustainable, which is what we have here, unsustainable growth. That's why we have the number of cars and vehicles and stuff. It's unsustainable. But because somebody was making money out of it, everybody could get it. I mean, the number of rent-a-car places, I do not even registered as rent-a-cars, but you see the little stickers on the back where we had everybody was a rent-a-car, this rent-a-car, that rent-a-car. And we'll see, if we don't stop and think about the people of this island first, 90% of the workers in construction are foreign nationals. Look what has happened to us, we'll see. When this thing came down, everybody was left here. Jamaica said, we're not taking you now because we blah, blah, blah. And here we are. We now have to find a way to try to help these people who are without work, who are without funds of any kind. Lord Jesus, help us. And I'm saying until we slow down, things not going to get any better, because if we are focusing on money and how much money we can make, these things got to continue to happen.
But let's look at it from another point of view, though, caller. Suppose things were slow prior to COVID-19, then we probably, and I say that cautiously, I would want to say then we would have been in a much worse position than we are at, because the government would not have the financial resources to do what they're doing now. So it's a good thing that the economy was strong prior to this. Otherwise, we would really, really be in a bad situation.
I agree with that. We can't just stop. I said, growth is not a bad thing.
No.
But when it's unsustainable, that's when it gets bad. And this is what happened to us. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry that had a few dollars to build and speculate about building and thinking they can make a lot of money. And this is what happened. Now, what happens is that when we bring in these foreign nationals as construction work and stuff like that, why should we have? I mean, if you go back, you old enough to remember. Back in the 1970s, when Doucette was down here, and Jimmy Powell ran the construction, you had McAlpine, and you had, I think it was 3 or 4 large construction companies. Everybody was employed. Caymanians were working. They were paying $8.50 an hour back then, and with $8.50, you could have bought a ton of stuff. Today, we got people coming in that are working here for $6.50 an hour. They can't hardly pay for their rent. They got to rent and stuff. And most of these Caymanians, when they're working, they're not paying rent. They got a house. They grew up in a house. They got a house. So we got to start considering these things, OC. And if we don't stop and take a look at everything, don't rush because somebody comes in and say they've got $8 million or $100 million to build something, and give them permission to do it just because government is going to make a few dollars off of the work permits and stuff. These things come back to haunt us. Now, if we had had all the Caymanians that they were able to working, we could have had a lot less foreign nationals that are stuck here with us. You see what I'm saying? So
nature nature has a way of evening out things at the end of the day and intervening when intervention is necessary. Nature or that supreme being, supreme being has a way of interjecting with it. But what we have to do, caller, is that we have to learn from this situation. We have to take a close look at what is happening. We have to recalibrate. We're going to, within the next few months, we're going to be able to determine whether or not the Cayman Islands will be able to survive, to function at the level that it needs to function at, with or without foreign workers in the Cayman Islands. That point will come across. One way or the other, we're going to learn. One way or the other, we're going to learn also whether or not we're able to function sufficiently without cruise ships, with a smaller number of tourists coming to the island. All of those adjustments we have to make. So what we want to do is we want to take this situation, use it as a learning moment in time to see where we go from here.
And just one more thing I would say, and I'm saying this, that what government has to do is, like back in the day when Mr. Vassell was like the head man of all the finances and stuff like that, and the legislators went into the House and they needed money to do something. We always had a reserve. And Vassell will tell them, look, we're not going to touch this. This is for emergency, for times of trouble that we might need it, and nobody's going to touch it. And nobody speculated back then about how much money we're going to make off of tourism, how much money we're going to... We talked about what we had in hand.
No, but we also had to, in order to set budgets, you had to set goals and say, well, we need to get this amount from this area. Here's what is projected income to come in from customs duties, from work permits, from whatever. So, even in the days of Mr. Vassell, when it came to budgeting, it was always done in a scientific manner as well. But caller, I have to ask you to leave us there. We have to go to a commercial break, and we have other persons queued up waiting to speak as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
FIS MoneyGram is pleased to announce their Shed Road location will be reopening for money transfer services effective Monday, May the 4th. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, MoneyGram and Shed Road will be open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, servicing customers with A through K surnames on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and customers with L through Z surnames on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. To ensure social distancing requirements, customers are required to make an appointment on their days by WhatsApp or texting 928-5130. That's 928-5130. MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Stay at home. Stay home. No gadabout. Stay your backside home. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Cayman kind.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have how many callers queued up? 3 callers queued up. So each caller, I want you to be mindful that someone is waiting behind you as well. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am good. How about you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, I will be brief. I just want to say, first of all, I big up the Honorable Premier, the Governor, and the Honorable Health Minister, John, as we call him.
Yes.
They are doing a fantastic job. And I would say to them, regardless of who want to criticize or whatever, hold fast to their plans. They are on the right track, because we have to understand we all have to make a little sacrifice to come out of this thing together.
So true, yes.
So it is no point of rushing because I want to make a few dollars to go back in business and kill off 100 or 200 people. It's no point of doing that. We need to understand that where we are, and in fact, when you look on what's happening around the world, we will realize that Cayman is way ahead of many other countries as far as planning is concerned.
Yes.
So I say to them, hold on to what you're doing, and we pray God for them to have wisdom so they can make the right decisions and to take us out of this thing, because, this thing is a killer. It's not something to play around with. It is a killer, and it's not like you can shoot it down or you can set up shop for it. You can't bomb it. It will kill you when you least expect it. So we have to be careful, and we have to understand that we are all in this thing together. So I would also say to folks on the island, please follow the restrictions. Go out on your day if you have to go out. If you don't have to go out,
stay home. Mm-hmm.
That's right. It's not going to kill you. I go to Georgetown once a week. I used to be there 6 days a week. I'm on the road. I go there once a week if I have to. Sometimes I don't even go, because we are all in this thing together. So I would say to them, keep up the good works and continue, and may God bless them.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. You stay safe as well. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello.
Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, O.C. Elvis. How are you doing?
I'm good, Elvis. How are you?
Oh, I am listening. And watching. We talked about Ivan, how we came back, and we should be thankful for the foreign workers that came back and helped us rebuild. Right?
Yeah. They certainly helped.
Yeah, listen. Do you know, after Ivan, right? I guess I don't know if I am the only one seeing this, but after Ivan, the insurance companies paid off billions of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why the foreign workers was here helping us to rebuild. Billions, you remember that, right?
Yeah, and there are some people who say that the insurance companies didn't pay enough, because there were many who found out that this whole concept of being underinsured. A lot of people didn't get anything from their insurance companies.
Yeah, but those, I don't want to stray away from where you.
Yeah,
the insurance companies basically rip them off. You always insure on your insurer, but what I am saying, all of those hotels and things, they was built bad because they got their money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Trust me on that.
Yeah.
My business was making a lot of just all the estimates that I was doing alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know something? At that time, I was paying my foreman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was paying my foreman $15 an hour then. He's from Jamaica, but he was doing his work. How many foremen, Jamaican foremen, working in Cayman right now? Well, when the boom was on just 3 months ago, they were making $15. They lucky if they paying them $10 an hour. They was lucky. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
No.
I think I am.
This here, my friend, this here now, the Cayman people, because you see, I don't know how the Jamaican government can look at another government because we are small. They could never say something like that to America that we don't have no work for your people. Your people want to come home, but the government that supported you for years and years that you could send money home to help your country have to pay for you to go home and quarantine you. That is wrong. It's wrong to the Caymanian government, and it's wrong to the people, to the hard-working people of Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is definitely wrong. But you see, what we can do, what our government can do, they can put laws to pressure the Caymanians, and they bring people to enforce them. But let me tell you something about this OC that I take in the book. I know about not bring this up in a long time. You remember when the teacher there said that she went round to these houses that she couldn't believe the state that the children were living in. These poor people, they were poor Caymanians. Then they breed with poor people from other countries.
But I'm trying to get. I know. I'm trying to get the direction that you're going, Elvis, in terms, because you're branching off on me a little bit too much there.
You don't know where I'm going because you don't know where I'm coming from.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of time to get anywhere.
Oh, yeah. What I'm trying to say, see, if those children didn't have food to eat, do they have any learning equipment? Were their parents privy to computers and all of that to teach them?
Well, the understanding is that those who don't have access to computer, they can go to the schools and pick up the hard copies of the work that they need to do. So provisions are in place for those persons who do not have access to computers.
See, let me tell you something now, right? I got a cellular phone. I don't have a computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my grandchildren can show me about my phone that I do not. I wouldn't look at about the phone, But I can show my grandchildren. I can show my grandchildren how to fishing and farm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But you see, we never done that.
Mm-hmm.
All we want with our children is give them a phone so we can run them. That's the one that play with that got a good job. But let me tell you something. Those 700 children and the pile of them, you know the next beat, when they go back to school and they get in trouble in school and thing, they can start drinking rum and smoking weed and thing, you know what that means?
Well, we would hope that those of us who are in a position to influence them would steer them away from that direction.
Well, the only one thing you can do to steer them away from it is to decriminalize it so they don't get a prison record, so they can get a job. Because,
you finally got to your point, right?
No, but you don't want to hear the truth.
No, I.
You're a Caymanian. You're a Caymanian. And you're a Caymanian that can't take the truth.
I can take the truth. It depends on your truth and my truth may be two different truths.
Pension, you got your big pension, so you was all right.
No.
I'm done with you.
All right, take care. Next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you doing?
Not too bad, Grateful for another day. I just need to ask a question. Just week before last, we were saying that Mrs. Oldie, which I'm not hearing too many people talking about, which she's a very good lady and remembers that there are Caymanians or people here that are in need. Mrs. Oldie and Mr. Dart were getting in mass by charter flight, and they were going to be distribute mass and other things that we need. They were going to be distribute, and then a little while later, last week sometime, I heard Mr. Ezard say he had gotten 180, but he needs more. Of course, he would need more than 180. Now, do you know?
And I think he got those from the Minister for Health.
Yes. Well, do you know if we got those masks, if they were distributed to our representatives, or do you know anything about that, OC?
No, I don't, but during the course of the show, I'll try to see if I can find out. I'll look back at the press briefing to see if any mention was made about masks as well.
Okay, because, we have masks. We bought masks from people that made them. But it is so many other people that don't have it, and the requirements is in the supermarkets that you must have on masks. Now, people is using big like men handkerchiefs and stuff like that. But if we got them here on the island, and our representatives is not seeing that their people is getting them.
Caller, let me try to clarify something for you. It seems, based on what I know, and this is limited, and it's based on what was said on this show, either people calling in or members of the Legislative Assembly being in the studio or with me. There were limited a number of masks that were distributed by the Ministry of Health to all of the MLAs. The numbers that they received were certainly not sufficient to cover all members of their constituency. So what they did was they tried to share them out, to distribute them as equitably as possible, bearing in mind those persons who are more vulnerable and in need of them. The other thing to note is that those masks that were distributed at that point in time, they're disposable masks. They're really intended for one use and to be disposed of. Some people try in some way to hang them up and dry them and reuse them. They're not as effective, as that. So those were the masks that I know about at this point in time. Whether or not, but people are making masks, selling them. We see adverts all over the place in terms of it. Now, my question to you is: Do you feel that the government needs to provide a mask to every inhabitant of these islands?
No, OC. My question to you: Do you know if Mr. Dart and Mrs. Oldie, that was generous enough, has bought in a lot of masks? Because I totally distribute to the people, and I would reckon that it would go to the health minister, and then he'll do his best to distribute them to the representatives of each district.
Okay, well, I will check on that to see whether or not I can determine whether or not any masks other than what the Ministry for Health received were received from any organizations, DART or otherwise, and what is happening with those masks. I'll try to do that during the course of the show. Way over my time for a commercial break. Caller, I want to thank you very much. I believe we still have another caller on hold. We will take that caller as soon as we return from the commercial break. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether it's celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
Do you want to shop online at A.L. Thompson's? You can. We offer goods that you need now for your home and yard. Visit our website for details and register to shop. Currently, we sell only the items that are on the website, but we'll add products regularly and frequently to meet your needs. You could pay for your order by debit card, credit card, and store accounts. We have contact-free delivery, will not enter households, and will maintain social distance for everyone's safety. We hope that you'll enjoy shopping online at althompson.com. Please remain healthy and safe.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Social distancing. Well, that means you're to keep a distance of 3 to 6 feet away from the person next to you. Or in layman's term, if you can see the color of the eye next to you, you're too close. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
This is a public service announcement from Radio Cayman, your community radio station.
Curfew restrictions remain in place until 5 a.m. on the 15th of May. The soft curfew or shelter-in-place regulations on Grand Cayman remains in place between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday. The hard curfew or the full lockdown is for everyone except essential services personnel. That remains in operation here on Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac between the hours of 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. nightly Monday to Sunday. Also, you can exercise up to 90 minutes between the hours of 5:15 a.m. and 7 p.m. daily, Monday to Saturday. No exercise is permitted on Sunday during the period of curfew. This relates to Grand Cayman only, as these restrictions have been removed from the sister islands. Now, a full 24-hour hard curfew as it relates to our beaches. Access to the beaches, the public beaches that is on Grand Cayman, remains in place through to Friday, the 15th of May, 2020 at 5 a.m. This means that no access to public beaches on Grand Cayman at any time until that date is allowed. This stops any person from entering on, walking, swimming, snorkeling, fishing, or engaging in any type of marine activity on any public beach here on Grand Cayman. Breach of the curfews carries a penalty of $3,000 and imprisonment for 1 year or both.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have no callers on hold at this point in time. One of our listeners has written in and said, good morning. Yes, masks are being distributed. I got a package with 5 in it, and the person says, I live in the swamp. I live down in swamp, and I received a package with 5 in it as well. So yes, we know that members of the Legislative Assembly did point out that they received. As a matter of fact, there was some indications there that the distribution, they weren't sure whether or not the distribution may have been political as well, because it seemed as if other than members of the Legislative Assembly, there were other members of the community who were given masks as well to distribute. Some who were candidates in previous elections were given masks to distribute as well. And there were some who thought that there may have been some political leaning in that regard. But when we reach the next stage in terms of, I think we're in stage 3 now, of the various stages that the government is moving us through in the battle of the COVID-19. When we reach the next stage and other public places are open, if the wearing of masks in public places becomes mandatory, then the question, there will be a valid question, and there will be room to debate that as well, whether or not it is obligatory for the government, whether or not the government has an obligation to provide masks for everyone, or whether or not the places that you're attending, whether or not they should be providing masks for you, or what responsibility do you as an individual have to ensuring your own health and safety? So that debate will have to take place as well. Government has been doing their part. That's what they're there for. That's why you pay your taxes, for government to do their part when it becomes necessary. But we as individuals, we have to do our part as well. And we see the private sector doing their part. Entrepreneurs are out there making masks. Individuals are out there making masks. Some are giving them, some are selling them, minimal cost. The advice seems to be, rather than purchasing disposable masks, depending on what you're going to use them for, get the reusable type. There have been YouTube videos showing you how to make masks if necessary. So there's a lot of leeway out there when it comes to masks. And I don't believe that if the government has masks for distribution, that they're going to hoard them, that they're going to hold them away from the public. And the initiative that was taken by the Ministry for Health in terms of giving them to your representatives for them to be distributed, and we understand that the numbers were insufficient. They gave what they could, and your legislators, in their wisdom, sought to distribute them the way that they saw fit, and to give them to those persons who are more vulnerable. Now, when it comes to job sites, construction sites, when they open, who's going to be responsible for that? Shouldn't it be the employers, the construction companies, the subcontractors who are out there? Shouldn't they be providing? We can go one step further with that. Should they have someone there taking the temperature of their workers every day before they enter those work compounds or any job site whatsoever, take their temperatures before? All of those precautions have to be taken into consideration. All of those precautions have to be employed if we are to keep our people safe, and if you want the economy, when it opens up, to stay open rather than us getting a second wave as well. So, lots to debate. The one point that we need to understand is that we all need to do our part. And when we find situations where persons are unable to do their part, then we should do what we can to assist them, to help them. Those are the more vulnerable. Those are the most needy in our societies. And that, again, is why We have all of our service clubs, service organizations, and individuals, people who take it upon themselves personally to go out there and help those who are more vulnerable as well. Top of the hour, headline news at 9 o'clock. Folks, I want to remind you that we have no guests in the studio, so you can call us on our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, one word, fortherecord, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261 when we return from Headline News, so please stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only two species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news. Access.
Local, regional, international, this is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Officers from the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service have noticed an increase in the number of vehicles who are not only speeding, but also driving recklessly. On May 8th, 15 tickets were issued by officers just in the morning for speeding. The penalty for speeding is $20 for every mile over the limit that you're recorded going when stopped by police. A 50-page document outlining the United Kingdom's plans for easing lockdown will be published today. Prime Minister Boris Johnson will explain the measures to MPs and then give a news conference later this morning. Lockdowns are slowly being eased across some parts of Europe. In France, people are able to walk outside for the first time in weeks without filling out a permit. Reports out of Paris suggest parts of the public transport system are struggling to maintain social distancing. Russia now has the third highest number of confirmed cases in the world, overtaking the United Kingdom and Italy. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so we have an open line. We have two callers on hold. Let's go to the phone lines then. Caller, good morning. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Peter Schmidt here. You were you just had a call from my wife a little while ago about the masks.
Yes.
And I heard your responses, and I totally agree. It is something. It's a conversation that needs to be held, or it might not even be a conversation. It just can be an announcement or something. But if hypothetically, if there have been, let's say, if a certain MLA represents 5,000 voters in his voting district and he's been charged with distributing the masks or having masks supplied to his constituency, whether they voted for him or not, then he or she ought to make arrangements that distribution takes place.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I think we had an interruption there for a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I had on the speakerphone accidentally, and so anyway. But if not, if individuals, if there aren't enough masks for everybody, for the whole population, and you need more than one, at least the type that I've been seeing going around, then that needs to be announced. Say, look, people. We have masks. We give out as many as we can to those who need them most, and the rest of you, be good citizens, get your own, buy them, make them, whatever. But again, announce it so that then, if that is the case, then the representative does not get a bad name for playing politics with the supplied materials, because some of us still have a sour taste in our mouth from Ivan or post-Ivan. And I think that was the crux of the question. So I entirely get your point that there may not be masks, 3 masks for every, man, woman, and child in the Cayman Islands to hand out. And so those that can, please get your own. And those that cannot, will try to help, just like we do with everything else.
Yeah, and Carla, we would hope that the mask situation would not end up, with us having eggs on our face after doing such a sterling job in controlling the COVID-19 in the Cayman Islands. And if it is an issue, it is something that needs to be addressed as expeditiously as possible, because based on what we know in terms of what is out there in the private sector, people making masks and everything, if the government wants to put its resources together and purchase from each of those companies that are making them here, especially the reusable ones, then that should be done. But I think in terms of acquiring masks, that is not a problem, or should not be a problem at this stage, and we shouldn't let the mask become an issue. We should be able to provide them through whatever means necessary to those who need them.
Exactly, because it's such a trivial, such a small matter. I mean, an important component of the overall safety program, but it is if on its own it is a small component, and you know how things go. You can do a fantastic job 9 times. I used to have an instructor who said each time you have to say, "Oh shucks, I did this wrong," you have to do 10 good things to make up for it. So I wish you a good day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Smith, and thanks, for your comments as well. But yes, if we need to have the discussion on it, it needs to take place as well. Let's go to the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Okay. When the government has the press briefings and they announce the amount of people that have been tested, that come back negative, like say 200 or 300 people, are these people that showed symptoms and were volunteering to be tested personally, or are these people that the government has on a list that are being tested?
Okay, I'm going to try to remember now what Dr. Lee said in that regard. Okay, yeah, I think I remember now. What they don't include in that number is that if you have already been tested, let's say, for instance, if you're in a under quarantine, government facility quarantine, and you have been tested once, if you're retested a second time, you're not included in those numbers that they issue each week. So these numbers that they issue, each day that there's a press briefing. So these numbers that they release are new test figures, and I think they also include those that are done by Doctors Hospital, formerly Crystal Tomlinson Hospital as well. Those numbers are included in there. They include frontline workers as well. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, and I think I heard the Premier say that, or the doctor say that they're almost completed with testing everyone on Little Cayman.
Yes.
Is that the same thing that they're doing in Cayman back too, testing everyone there too?
That's correct, yes.
And are those the plans that they have for Grand Cayman also?
I don't think that the intentions are to test everyone in Grand Cayman. There's a requirement that if a certain percentage of the population is tested, and depending on the results of that, that tells you where you're at in terms of the possibility of how the virus has spread itself throughout the islands. There is no question that those persons who are going will be going back to work soon. Like, for instance, we see now the testing is taking place for all of the persons working in supermarkets. We see the testing taking place for frontline workers in the health field, as well as those who are in law enforcement. You will see it take place when it comes to construction workers as well. And I guess later on down the line, if beauty salons are opened up, restaurants, whatever, the testing will be done for those persons again who will be having face-to-face encounters with individuals. But I don't think that you're going to see. I mean, it would be good if everyone could be tested, but bear in mind now, the test result is only as good as the day that you took it and you received it. After that, there's the possibility of you being reinfected again. So it's a numbers game that they're playing based on the World Health Organization and other organizations, the various formulas that they have established for that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Orrett.
Thank you very much, sir. You have a great day. Any callers, Ms. Susan? No callers. I'm going to continue with the press briefing. By the way, also, one of our listeners wanted to know whether or not the 45 days that are stipulated in the amendment to the pensions law, whether or not the 45 days that are stipulated in there are just consecutive 45 days or what. I'm trying to determine that. I haven't found it in the amended law, in the amendments, but I'll look at the main law, because normally in legislation, when time frames are given, especially in days, in the interpretation section of the legislation, it will usually tell you that in reckoning time, in the calculation of time, normally what happens is that Saturdays and Sundays are not counted, neither are holidays, nor under normal legislation. We see it, for instance, I'm aware in the elections law, Saturdays and Sundays not counted, nor are public holidays. So if it says 7 days, it means 7 business days, not taking into account Saturdays and Sundays and holidays. I am not sure whether or not the same obtains in the pensions law. If anyone knows, please feel free to call in, let me know. Email for the record at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261. It will save me from having to do research while I'm trying to talk on the air as well. The 45-day calculation, does it include Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays as well? So I need to get that answer to one of our listeners, because that is extremely important. That is very important. We don't want the pension providers to say that their calculation of 45 days is different than what the person, the applicant, definition of or understanding of that is as well. So extremely important. Okay. So continuing on with Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez's report on Friday, the 8th of May, the press briefing. He pointed out that 2 public health field hospitals are set up should the number of cases increase to the point where the Health Services Authority is overwhelmed. Hopefully, they won't be needed, but just in case. They would be used for treating general patients and COVID-19 milder cases. Given the current trend of test results, if the facilities are not used, they will still provide an invaluable resource that can be stood up in the event of a hurricane or a disaster. So again, we see the government being proactive rather than being reactive. These tents may not be necessary if we are able to keep the numbers down as far as infections are concerned. But if the numbers were to go up, then they're there, right? So we don't want someone calling later on, oh, they set up those field hospitals, but they didn't need them. What a waste. It is not a waste. You have to be proactive. Sometimes, you simply be prepared, and you may not, and you hope that you never have to take the measures that you're preparing for, and if you never have to, then that in itself is a resounding success. That's a resounding success. So, Dr. Samuel Williams also gave advice for those preparing to go back to work, and his advice was drink lots of fluid, stay mentally and physically fit, continue to practice social distancing, respiratory and hand hygiene as well. And when there was a question that was raised, I believe, in relation to mass sanitizing of public places, he pointed out that there is currently no plan to mass sanitize public places. So those were the contributions that were made by Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez at the press briefing on Friday, the 8th of May, 2020. What came from the Premier on Friday as well, he says, with the pressure continuing to reopen, he noted that it would be tragic to have made so many sacrifices until now, collectively as a nation and a people, only to throw it all away because some in the community cannot wait for a week or two to reopen business. Now, if you can read between the lines, it is quite obvious that the Premier is under considerable pressure from some quarters in the community to reopen quickly. And we see that happening in other jurisdictions as well. And that is coming mainly from people, from persons, from organizations who don't really either don't understand or who don't give a hoot about human life to a certain extent. Now, some people may say, it's unfair of me to say that, but if they, at this point in time, knowing where we're at, knowing that the virus is still out there, knowing that we have not done sufficient testing yet, and they're insisting on industries or businesses to be open where it isn't necessarily safe to do so, then they must have a complete disregard for human life and human safety, the sanctity of life as well. You can only make that assumption if they're insisting, knowing where we are at in this situation. Time for us to take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
We all know there's nothing more refreshing than the taste of an ice-cold Coca-Cola straight from the cooler.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Whether we're celebrating a birthday, promotion, or just a great meal, make each moment a Coca-Cola moment.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling.
Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Make sure you ask for the unforgettable flavor of a classic Coca-Cola.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Essential staff, police officers, immigration, customs, doctors, nurses, first responders, they are essential staff. So if you got to ask, then you ain't. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. 2 callers on hold, so we're going straight to the phone lines. First caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Bossy.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad, you, sir.
I'm good. I'm good. Hope you're staying safe.
Yes, sir. Trying to thank the Lord.
Yes.
Keep positive as much as we can.
Yes, yes.
I am calling. If you're making a request, I don't know how to get the message. We need to get a message to the government with the press briefing that the people of the Cayman Islands, on behalf of the people, because the majority of people, this is their I'm being their voice for them for a moment. We are calling for the government to please open an open mic segment on the press briefing for the people, because in my opinion, the journalists that we have there is not representing the average Caymanian. Okay, guys, straight as you said. So we would ask the government if there is, anyway, if it's no longer than 15 minutes while the press briefing is on when they're doing their question and answering, if they please do an open mic segment so that people can call. If it's no more than 10 people get to call in, or whatever, we can cut it off. But we need to, because there's questions that we are sending and we're not hearing them asked. So we feel that we're being ignored.
Okay.
So we're asking to please, it might not be today, but if they could start as soon as possible, because we need to get some questions going. And I think that this is the only way how we're going to get it expressed, because we are sending it to some of the journalists and whatever, and they're saying that, they're so backed up and everything. And me and them might be doing, but the questions that they're asking, in my opinion, is not even relevant to me no more.
And some of them are follow-up questions from previous time. Of course, if they didn't get the answer the first time, then a follow-up question is certainly reasonable. But I do agree with you that sometimes we're getting repeat questions. We're getting some to a certain extent that are really trivial, and rather than those journalists asking those questions, they could really allot that time, to hear more questions from other persons. I agree, but you do in saying that, you do recognize the pitfalls that are there with that. If unless they say, okay, we're going to take 5 calls at this from the general public at this press briefing, we'll take 5 at another press briefing. But as soon,
I'm not saying every day you do one. You
okay,
can't do it every day.
Got you. Yeah. Otherwise, some people are going to be disgruntled if they don't get on.
If it's only 10 people get on in 15 minutes, it's fine. I just give a basic time. I'm not saying they got to be 10. I'm not saying it got to be 15 minutes. 15 minutes is an average time.
Yeah.
It will give people an opportunity to, because everybody is so stressed. I can use, for instance, yesterday I can use an example. Yesterday was supposed to be one of the hard curfews, that nobody was allowed to come out.
Right.
There were people that is not from my district, not from my area, not even just the district, not from my personal area, doing laundry. And they were driving cars. So that's not an essential services. If you didn't do your laundry on Saturday, leave it till Monday morning. All they're doing is keeping us down. Caymanians, it's Caymanians that are kept down because nobody is adhering to the rules, and they're just keeping us down. In my opinion, we were the islands time forgotten, and we're going to be forgotten again when the world open up. We're going to be left behind, and in my opinion, that's what they want, because Cayman has been the enemy of the world for a very long time. We have been too successful for such a short time, and a lot of people are jealous of Cayman, and we have bent over backs all over. We have went above and beyond to help every living nationality. I think that there must be there now. We must go a sample home in Cayman. So it's not like Caymankind has been abused by the people.
Now, caller, but you do realize that those persons that you see on the road during the hard curfew time, that there are ways for you to call and report them also.
Well, thank you very much, sir, but I did that yesterday. I had to call 9. I called 911 and made a report.
Good for you.
No, it is wrong.
Yes.
I am saying in abiding by the rules as a Caymanian. You come to my country to make a living, to better your life. Then abide by my rules.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Rosie.
I think that, thank you too. That's a very good suggestion, whether or not they will take it up. But I think just to open a line to give members of the public to ask questions rather than doing them through the journalists that are there, because like you said, sometimes they never get to your questions. I know that usually the moderator, the person who has the mic there is either Miss Donna Bush or there's another person as well. They will have questions from the public that they will ask also. But I think it's a very good suggestion. Whether or not it will be taken up, you say we're going to allow so many questions. We're going to limit it, so people need to know how to be brief and just simply ask their questions rather than making statements. Because if it is something, answers that they want to know, then that is fine. If they want the public and the legislators to know that they have the answers, then calling in is not the place to do so. They should have those phone lines open so that people can ask questions and get the answers, not for those verbose persons to get on there and to talk, to demonstrate that they know the answer. So that caller's point there is very good, and maybe as has been suggested, that maybe set aside one day, and let open it up to the people as opposed to the press, and you have it moderated properly and everything else. Otherwise, barring that, then come on for the record on Mondays, the day that has been assigned for government. Now we know government departments have been on there. They come on, and they don't even have to come in the studio. They can be on the phone lines as well. Of course, we had no one scheduled for today, but we do understand people are working remotely, as well. But this is the time that you need to keep the lines of communications open to the people, the public. They're relying on you. They're home, shuttered up, sheltered in place. They need to hear from you. Now, some members of the Legislative Assembly have their WhatsApp group and stuff like that they're able to communicate, but the government has been doing an excellent job so far in terms of these press briefings, keeping the people aware. Like the caller said, now we need to wrap this up to another level. Now we've been speaking through the journalists. We want to speak directly, and the voice of the people, right? And I would say to you, if they do allow it, then make your questions short, to the point, and then await your answers. We're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Insurance is complicated. Make your life easier and better protected with comprehensive financial solutions from FIS Insurance Brokers with plans from life, health, property insurance, motor, public liability, and professional liability insurance. Whether you're protecting your family or your business, leave nothing to chance. Understand your options and protect yourself for the future. Speak to your FIS Insurance Broker agent today, located on Shedden Road by MoneyGram, or call 623-5616.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Wow, looks good. What is that?
Chicken chair.
What did you just say to me?
Chicken chair.
I am not a chicken.
Whoa! I said chicken share. It's from KFC. Bucket of 12 hot wings, 6 pieces of chicken, or 8 tenders. KFC chicken share. Just $12 each.
Oh.
Want some chicken, tenders, or hot wings?
You're sharing your chicken share with me?
The new chicken share from KFC. Just $12 each. And it's finger-licking good. Dine at KFC Baytown Plaza, KFC Shedden Road, or KFC at the Strand.
Don't let the actions of the few continue to impact the majority. If you know of someone who is taking unnecessary risks with social distancing and curfews, talk to them. Remind your siblings, children, parents, and friends of the importance of social distancing. We will all get through these challenging times, but only if we can all work together. Stay home Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm going to read some of the WhatsApp messages that I received, and if any require any comments, I will comment as well. This one says, good day. There's proactive plans for field hospitals, which is necessary. But I would also like to know what facilities are being planned for imprisonment of persons who broke their curfew and will not have the money to pay the fines. I would say, don't do the crime if you can't pay the fine. No, that's we would hope and trust that the judges, if it's something that goes to adjudication, goes before a judge, that the judges will look at each particular situation that the person find themselves in, in terms of their ability to pay. And it's not unusual for you to ask the court for time to be able to pay your fine, and hopefully, you would be able to do it that way. This person says, good morning, sir. Why can't people swim or fish? And I would say that as far as the fishing is concerned, or what some Caymanians say, fishing, as far as the fishing is concerned, in the next phase that we move to, that it is possible that may be included in that. My suggestion as far as swimming is concerned is that we limit it to an age group, so those persons who use the sea as a therapeutic measure for them, as a means of therapy for them, limited to a certain age group. If you're over 50, 45, something like that, you can't go to the beach because we see what irresponsible persons have done and caused you to end up in the situation that you find yourself in. And this one says, good morning. This is for the government and the frontline workers, for everyone who is giving of themselves to make this thing work. I say thank you all. A word for you all with love in this world. Some will love you, some will hate you, and some will criticize you, but all will not do the same thing. I'm begging you, please, do not get fed up and open the gate. Let everyone go through. It would be a waste. No, please. We are too small. So this person is saying to the government, stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. So far, what you've been doing is working out well. Continue to do so. I'm going to read one more before we go to the phone lines. This one says, we have too many selfish, money-craving people who need to leave the island, or please stop talking. We are standing by the Premier because he's making good decisions. To my Premier, to Mr. Premier, I say, keep up the good decision making. And then they go on to say, agreed. Some things at the brief is a bore, while journalists are asking the same questions. Let's go to the phone lines then. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah. I want to agree with the lady that called earlier about trying to give the listening audience at the press briefing even 10 minutes to ask questions or maybe even to give in some input. I don't know. But as the saying, I hear it so much times on the midday show, there's more questions than answers. So I thought that I agree with her that try to get something that the general public might have some good ideas. You never know, not necessarily even about the opening up, but some other ideas they could use. So the press briefing and the other people that ask the questions, I think if they open it up to the wider Caymanian, it would be most appreciated for them to do that. So that's my little piece for today, and I hope it is taken on well and understood. So I look forward to hearing something like what she said. 10, 15 minutes is fine. And have some input, have some questions. So thank you so much, Mr. Connor, and have a good day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And like I said, it's a good idea. Hope and we trust that the government may at least take up the suggestion, if not exactly the way that it has been suggested, to refine it or amend it in such a way that we can get some public participation rather than using a third party to get that information through or to get those questions through as well. One of our listeners has shared with me their point, and this is coming from an authoritative source as well. It says, good morning. The 45 days run for each cycle or withdrawal. It's a rolling time frame up until the day that the 6 month expires. So 45 days run from whatever, from each cycle. Whenever you put your application in, that is when you submit your application, that is when your 45 days run, basically is what it's saying. It says the definition of days would normally defer to the labor or substantive pensions law, or failing that, the interpretation law. Yep. So there will be several cycles of 45 days during the 6 month period. I hope this helps. Yeah, that helps to a certain extent, but what it doesn't tell us is whether or not we count Saturdays and Sundays and holidays in those 45 days, or whether or not they're discounted. in terms of that, and I'm still trying to find that out. If I can, normally I complain about the commercial breaks that we take, but the ones that we have, I don't get enough time to get back on the computer to see if I can find it as well. But we do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, Lucy.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing, my friend?
Not too bad. Yes, I enjoyed some fresh fish yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When you had barracuda, up in the back there, I found out years ago that they skin the barracuda. They don't scale scale them like we do.
I still like it, but it don't allow it in our house. So, I just called to let you know, that from the banking institution that I spoke about a few days ago, I would call it, in my old man terms, I would call it a prom apology.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? If you know what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
half-hearted. Some people may say half-hearted, or some people may say half. I won't say the rest of the word there.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'll have to settle for that for now. But I don't want to scandalize anybody or anything, But I really thought it was, really embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
On another note, this is just a question to you, and I used to do night audit down and back in the 70s at one of the big hotels,
Mm-hmm.
And what came off the blacktop? This is how I got some information. You believe that you have dirty money in the Cayman Islands?
I would have no doubt that there is. Whether or not it's locally generated or otherwise.
Okay. Well, it seems to me that, every Auditor General that we have had, I would say, over the past decade, it doesn't seem to be any reports on when it comes to these blacklisting that the Cayman Islands get. It doesn't seem that anybody genuinely checks into what takes place into the banking institution in the Cayman Islands.
But that's a part of the role of the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority.
Oh, okay then. Well, okay, maybe it doesn't concern the Auditor General then.
Mm-mm.
Well, I thought it would.
No, the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority is the regulatory body for financial institutions.
So they should know whether any dirty money or people are laundering money in the Cayman Islands then?
Well, I not necessarily. That's why they have established these things about know your customer and everything else. It is up to the institution that is receiving those funds to try as much as possible to determine the source of those funds, as well as the person, the credibility of the person who is seeking to deposit them.
Okay, when you have companies
Mm-hmm.
that have international business,
Mm-hmm.
like say in Hong Kong and where have you, then they open a branch or a part of their company into the Cayman Islands,
Mm-hmm.
and they get a branch of their company into the Cayman Islands, or set up through probably one of the reputable law firms or accounting firms or what have you. Then the money from wherever they sort of operate now from gets transferred, millions or billions of dollars to the Cayman Islands. Who really questions that? Would that be the monetary authority?
Yep, they would be part of that as well. There are And this is really not my forte. I'm just, trying to weave my way through it. But there are, first of all, if a company is seeking to establish in the Cayman Islands, let's say due diligence is done on those companies to determine, and that's why this whole thing about beneficial ownerships and stuff like that is so important, because you have to do your due diligence on the companies that being established. If you are, say, a firm that assists in the registration of a company and stuff, you are required to do your due diligence as well, because you can't later on say, well, I didn't know that they were involved in this. The question would be, did you attempt to? So that's why there are procedures for due diligence to be exercised by all who are going to be dealing with the business of those entities.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just say for instance, a bank sells out 60%, 50% of their shares to international bank or a bank from elsewhere, and the money that they bought the shares with from that establishment, would the monetary authority investigate where their money coming from?
I'm sure that that would be looked at. Yes.
Well, what was really holding up this list that came on supposed to be on that they've been taken off? What's holding that up?
Well, the OECD and other institutions, they have made recommendations. They come and they look at the systems that you have in place, or they say that we want legislation to be introduced to address a particular issue. Then they look at whether or not you have implemented those that legislation, whether or not you have put certain procedures in place. And if you're not up to speed with what they're requiring, then you're seen as non-compliant. They may put you on a list and say, okay, we're going to put you on a list. When you become compliant, then you have the opportunity to be removed from that list. If you are not compliant, then at some point in time, they could institute sanctions against the country, as a result of that as well.
Well, where the beneficial ownership coming out now?
Well, that one, I think it's, is it 2022 or something like that? Remember, we had the situation where the United Kingdom say that if we didn't do certain things that they were going to legislate for us, and they asked the Foreign Affairs Ministry to prepare draft legislation to legislate for us if we refuse to do certain things. So that's going to be coming up in a few years' time. It's not we haven't heard the end of that yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, Lucy.
All right.
Nice to talk with you again, man.
Take care. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Folks, we're going to take our last commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
FIS MoneyGram is pleased to announce their Shedden Road location will be reopening for money transfer services effective Monday, May the 4th. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, MoneyGram and Shedden Road will be open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, servicing customers with A through K surnames on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and customers with L through Z surnames on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. To ensure social distancing requirements, customers are required to make an appointment on their days by WhatsApp or texting 928-5130. That's 928-5130. MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide.
It's time to stay steady in the summer and be ready for the fall. Summer 2020 classes begin on May 11th, and there has never been a more opportune time for you to invest in your future with online classes at UCCI. Do your part to keep our island safe and stay home Cayman while furthering your educational goals. Continue our Start Your Success story today by visiting ucci.edu.ky/myucci to find out more about the enrollment process. Call 623-8224 or email info@ucci.edu.ky to learn more.
Shopping online and picking up your purchases are now available at A.L. Thompson's. We offer goods that you need now for your home and yard. Visit our website for details and register to shop. Currently, we sell only the items that are on the website, but we'll add products regularly and frequently to meet your needs. You could pay for your order by debit card, credit card, and store accounts, and then can drive in and pick up your purchases. We hope that you will enjoy shopping online at althompson.com. Please remain healthy and safe.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Shelter in place. Stay home. Stay out of Johnny Public. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. WhatsApp message. Listener says, steer the course. Premier of the public is allowed to ask questions during press briefings. The public will have to discipline themselves to ask the question properly and in brief words. If this is granted, please, public, don't abuse this opportunity. So one of our listeners' comments in relation to that. Not sure. I think that's the last one that I have in that regard. So I'm going to try to finish up what the Premier had to say at the press briefing for those of you who didn't get the opportunity to do so. Oh, and the other thing is, what I haven't heard here, I can put you our listeners on a spot for a minute. Now, when the remittance services, the Western Unions and things like that, weren't allowed to open, we were being bombarded with messages about when are they going to open? You know, people can't do this. People can't do. Now that they're open, no one is calling and saying, well, we're thankful that they allowed this to happen. Here is how they're operating now. You know, whether things are going smoothly, whether there are long delays to get there or what. But now that you got what you want, we don't hear from you. Why is that? Why is that? You know, we like to hear the good with the bad as well. When you wanted them open, we were there hammering and fighting for you. Now we can't hear from you at all in relation to the money services now. Anyway, I'm sure that will prick somebody's conscience somewhere along the line, you know, as well. So the Premier pointed out that Cayman's ethos, as far as humanly possible, is to preserve lives and is not prepared to sacrifice any life just to get back to normal. That view is not about to change at this stage. So he didn't mince words. So all is being done to ramp up the screenings so authorities have a good grasp of the prevalence of the virus in the community, followed up by taking steps to track, trace, track down, and treat those persons who are infected. The Premier also pointed out that patience is required from all, though it is appreciated that jobs and the economy are important. So he does not downplay the importance of jobs and the economy. But what he is saying is that the preservation of life takes precedence on the balance, takes precedence over that. So to a certain extent, and I'm saying this, it is not a level playing field. The playing field is tilted towards the preservation of life. Okay? Then he wished birthday greetings, and I want to again shout out and give belated birthday greetings to the former Speaker of the House, Honorable Mayor Lawrence, who turned 80 years of age on Friday as well. He also sent happy birthday greetings to Mrs. Isley Connolly, the former Chief Education Officer in the Cayman Islands, Mrs. Hyacinth Rose, the wife of Pastor Winston Rose and the mother of our Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Samuel Rose, and also happy birthday to Mrs. Miriam Anglin also, and then he wished Mother's Day to everyone. And then he spoke about the service for the late Leola Esteline Ebanks as well. I think there was a question in relation to British overseas territories, and he pointed out that the British overseas territories are performing well in response to COVID-19, and in the face, as we are, of our economic consequences, are grappling with the way to keep their countries running for the next 6 to 9 months, without tourists as well. What else did we have there? I might have a WhatsApp message, checking to make sure that we don't miss any of your WhatsApp messages as well. The governor pointed out, did we have anything in relation to travel? Yes. He pointed out that the Costa Rica and Honduras evacuation flights had left on Friday, so we see more and more persons wanting to leave the jurisdiction. At the same time, we had a few persons coming as well. There's a Miami flight that will take place on Friday the 15th, and that can be booked directly with Cayman Airways online or by calling 949-2311. The return flight from Miami is also open to pre-approved passengers only, and Cayman Airways will be directly in touch with them. So you have to be pre-approved to return to the Cayman Islands on the flight from Miami, and there is a process that you have to go through in order to be pre-approved for that. He also pointed out that so far 921 persons have left on the evacuation flights. This is the evacuation flights only, not persons who may have left before that. 921 persons left on the evacuation flight, and 370 returned as well. So those were all some of the issues that were addressed at the government press briefing. Okay, one of our, trying to get our responses together here. Bear with me. It says, yes, OC, the money places are open. I got my money, and with security, they're doing things in order. This person says, I'm sorry that they didn't get back to me. And it wasn't really intended at anyone individual as well. But I want to thank that listener for getting back to me as well. This person says, wants me to mention the dates for the Miami flight. So let me go back to the section from the governor. The Miami flights the Miami flight takes place on Friday the 15th. That's this coming Friday the 15th of May. You can book directly with Cayman Airways online or by calling 949-2311. That is leaving from Grand Cayman going to Miami. That return flight is open to pre-approved passengers. So you have to be pre-approved in order to get onto that flight from Miami to come to Grand Cayman. And only that, so you have to be pre-approved for that. And if you are pre-approved, Cayman Airways will be directly in touch with those persons who are pre-approved. Also, that the flight to the Dominican Republic will take place on Sunday the 17th of May, and those seeking to travel should also contact Cayman Airways directly, for that purpose as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want, or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for talk today, and the press briefing should be, I believe, at 2 o'clock today. If that time has changed, then you will be able to get that change of time from here on Radio Cayman as well. So I say to you, have a great day. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates.
FIS MoneyGram, the safest and most convenient way to send money worldwide. MoneyGram, bringing you closer. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And Fidelity Bank. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Today's biggest news.